And now we have our 4 bolts put in the bottom here. The first and most important thing though, these Ricochet, they belong in one place. Hey folks, welcome to the channel, Long Shot Adventures. We're back in the man cave today, and we're going to be putting some armored footwell guards on the Grizzly 2021 700. The area that I live in is quite muddy, but the area that I travel a lot is rocky, and I've had some issues with rocks coming off the tires, actually coming up, hitting the footwells and cracking them. If you've watched my recent couple of mod videos, you'll probably notice that my right hand side footwell hasn't been bolted down, nothing in it, and my peg brace isn't on. So this one I replaced. It was completely smashed. It was like the other one. It took a first little hit, crack, and over the winter, just getting on and off the bike, it kept going. It wasn't even safe to get on and off. I'm hoping the cracking on the other side will stop once I get these armored footwell guards put on. Yamaha does not actually sell them. They don't make them either, I guess. I had to get these through Ricochet. I've heard some good things about Ricochet. So this is what came in today. So these are the 2 plates that go underneath, some instructions, and a little sticker, so some propaganda, and some bolts and hardware. So we're gonna get working away at this, read the instructions. Hopefully they're better than most of the instructions I find, and yeah, stay tuned. So we're down here at our footboard. So as you see here, we have our foot pegs. So we're going to take the bolts off of those, remove the 4 bolts here, and this is our armored plate that's going to go underneath. So that should bolt right up in here, and hopefully stop any more rocks from going up and catching that. First thing we're going to do, we're going to remove our 13mm bolt here for our foot pegs. Get that freed up. That bolt. Next, we're going to be taking our 10mm socket and removing our 4 footwell bolts. I'll get this one moved out of the way first. As you can see, even the plastic is breaking here just from having that guard on there. So these are this is the one thing I'm not really impressed of. I think all the makes are doing it now. My last bike I actually had, this was all metal, but they're all plastic now, and there's no longevity out of this at all. This bike has 3,400 kilometers on it, and yeah, I've already placed one on the right hand side, and the one on the left hand side doesn't look like it's too far from it. So you know, the price we pay for these bikes, it would be nice. At least I get the option to buy metal. I did ask the dealer. They said no, they don't do them in metal at all, and that's why I had to go with the armored plates. Yamaha does make them as well. I heard really good things about Ricochet, so that's we're going to go with them. So we'll continue on. Now that we have our 4 OEM bolts out, I'm going to turn around. I'm going to put our spacers down, and I'm going to put the footrest brace in now, just so things will start to line up, and I don't have to play around with that later on. So put this on. We'll just put on loosely, and we'll show you how these how the plate bolts up. I did what I mentioned. Can't see if you notice here or not. There's 2 short bolts and 2 longer bolts. Your shorter bolts go on the outside, and your longer bolts go on the inside. So 2 short ones closest to the outside of the bike, and the 2 longer ones closest to the inside. It's going to be a little different from the way the OEM does. The OEM comes down, the bolts bolt down through. These are going to go up. So at the bottom end, you're going to take your bolt and a washer, feed it up through, and you're going to screw it up on the bottom. Now, the outside only takes a spacer. The inside does not. So it's going to look like this. like that. So when you're mounting it up, that's how it's going to go. No fault of Ricochet. These bolts aren't long enough for the application I have of the footrest in the back. So I actually just happen to have the same metric bolt here in-house. And yeah, they're a little longer. So we're going to feed those up through. So that will only be the difference you're going to see. So want to show you how those going to look on the bottom. So it should be a nice, clean, smooth finish for nothing really to catch. And we'll start installing this bad boy. From underneath, we're going to put our first bolt up in the front, feed that in, just something to keep it there. Take another back one, shove it back here, get that started. Leave that loose. Now, for the other two, we're going to use our spacer. So our bolt's going to come up in here. Spacer's going to feed here. And we're going to put it up through. Just like that. So the two back ones don't have spacers. Two front ones will. And now we have our 4 bolts put in the bottom here. So once we're going to put those all up, in place, there should be a nice smooth transition. I'm assuming it's a real pain to thread something up into a blind spot. I'm assuming the reason they do that is because it's smoother and there'll be less chance of dirt or grass or anything hooking up on them versus having the nut down here. Definitely the nut would be easier to thread through. And like I said here, this is not one of theirs. I had to go a longer bolt in order to compensate for the brace on my foot peg. So we're going to get those put up in position, and you can see here the spacers. So a spacer on the 2 end parts. As you can see, we have our Ricochet footwell armor in place. From underneath, it's a nice flat finish, other than the one bolt I had to put in. Like I said, that's no fault of Ricochet. That's got to do with my footrest that I have there. So for not being OEM, if you see underneath, these are OEM skid plates here. So I got these right from Yamaha, and they match up really good. They fit really good. So yeah, that should, by the looks of that, protect a lot more. So we're going to finish buttoning this up, and we'll continue. We did run into an issue while we were installing those bolts. They're Allen keys, and usually I like Allen key bolts. They work really good. But while I was putting one in, I actually had it stripped, and all the other ones seemed soft. So I hate dealing with stripped bolts down the road. So I took the longer ones I had, 10mm. And what I did is I grinded them down to the proper length. So I just matched them up with the ones that Ricochet had brought. Took the grinder, grinded the head off, and retouched up the thread. So a little sidetrack, but if anybody knows me here at Longshot, if it ain't right the first time, then I'll make it right. So yeah, we wanted to, didn't want to be messing around with stripped bolts and stripped heads anywhere down the road. So I'm a much more firm believer of a socket. Like I said, I usually like Allen keys, but for some reason those bolt heads were really soft. So we're gonna get those other ones out, put the new ones in here, and continue on, and we'll show you the finished product. The first and most important thing though, these Ricochet, they belong in one place, in the garbage. The hope the armor holds up better than those bolts did, because the bolts sucked. Not impressed there at all. Expensive equipment should have at least expensive hardware. We're going to finish up tightening this bad boy down, and we'll get back to you. We've gone ahead now and reinstalled our bolts that we had cut off. As you see now they still protrude a little bit, but if you see under here, they're not quite as flush and flat as the Ricochet ones were. But I know my skid plates from OEM, let's see under there, they have bolts as well. So anyway, I'd rather worry about fetching up on a stick or something more than having to worry about a strip bolt, because those were stripping just putting them in. you see here, if I can get level enough, they don't protrude enough to affect my foot, so there's still some room there, and so those are good. Those are nice and tight. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the foot bracket here from the top view now. So we've gone, we put our bracket in loosely. I'm going to tighten that down now. Tight. That's a nylon thread, so those are pre-locking thread, as well as these ones now too. They're all pre-locking nylon threads. So the only bad thing about pre-locking nylon threads, they're only good really for once. After that, they say they slip off, so you might have to put a lock washer on afterwards. That's what they recommend. I've seen many of these nylon bolts go on many times, and they seem to hold their bolting. So we'll got that nice and snug now. We'll put that down in place. So because we're bolts on both ends, we'll have to put a 10 mil on the bottom to hold it, and 10 mil on the top. And there. So those are all nice and snug now, not going anywhere. I will say I do like the look of the bottom, so I don't think I'm going to have to worry anything about any rocks coming up and damaging the plastics now. They do look nice and heavy duty. I am impressed by the amount of thickness, and the price wasn't too bad either. Just the hardware was very disappointing. Well folks, this pretty much finishes up this install video of the Ricochet footwell guards. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed making it. I'm looking forward to putting these guards through their paces. I've heard really good things about the Ricochet products. A little disappointed in the hardware, but they probably don't control that as much as they do, hopefully, of the manufacturing of their guards. Like I said, there was a few learning curves along the way, but that's part of the adventure. This is long shot adventures. It doesn't always mean there's an adventure out in the wilderness. It can be here in the man cave as well. So anyway, let me know what you liked about the video, what you didn't like, things we can improve on. And as always, stay safe and take care.